Welcome back to SNG News, the show where we show you what's going around at SNG Studios, the studio that Mary and myself own and operate and do wonderful things at. And this week, we've been doing a multitude of different things that I think you'll find very, very interesting. Starting with my paintings here. I'm back to painting. Years ago, I used to go to all the different UFO conferences and also make TV appearances and stuff about my interaction with the UFO phenomenon. And I used to do a lot of artwork on it, but when my wife got a little nervous about it all, she asked me to quit, and I did. And that was about 20 years ago. So what I've done is started back doing it again. So this is the first painting I've done with what we would call the grays in over 20 years. So it was really a trip, literally, to quote a phrase from the 60s. So yes, this is the first one I've done and not the last. I'm going to do a whole bunch of these, all different types of images of these creatures doing different things. And in fact, Mary had the great idea of doing a whole series of paintings that dealt with indigenous people and the Aborigines and others and their interactions with these. Because you know what? People have been painting these creatures, from the Native Americans in this country to the Aborigines in Australia, for thousands of years. They've had interaction with what they call the sky people. And in fact, this painting here, which I did and finally finished, is called the Wangina. And the Aborigine people painted these going back 2,500 years ago. They painted these on caves. And it's amazing how much they look like these guys. And of course, they were sort of the keepers of the dream time, which is where all creation on Earth came from. That's the short story. It's much more involved than that. But I've always been fascinated with Aboriginal art, and I always wanted to do a cave painting of my own, which I've slightly modernized with black objects in the sky and lights coming down and actual gray and a few other things if you look at this for a long time. This is the Dreamtime symbol. So I really enjoyed doing this a lot, and we'll be doing a lot more of this kind of thing as time goes by. We're gonna have an art show. I'm gonna do some more sculptures, and I've been making lots of appearances on talk shows and TV shows and all kinds of stuff, and you'll learn more about that later on the websites. And this is a mold, a silicone mold that I haven't opened yet. This is the hard mother mold, and then the silicone, of course, is underneath. And that is for the handle for the laser blast gun, which is this handle that's inside here. It's kind of hard to see it, but it's inside here, and it goes onto the main body. So that's the handle. Of course, this is the mold for the full gun barrel and the main body, and this handle piece fits inside of it. And later on today, as soon as this cools off, I'm going to open this up, and I'll have now a mold to produce more parts for the handle. So with that, I've been working on, of course, you know about, I think, the heat sinks that I did for the gun. And this is about to be taken apart and molds made off of this, because we actually use these in the real gun. As you can see, they're Star Trek tricorder parts. So over here, I've been working on the Iron Giant, and it's taken a while to figure this out. And since there are no plans, and Adam Savage keeps telling me, thank you, Harvey, he keeps telling me that the toy, the Mondo toy, according to Brad Bird, is absolutely correct, since he has one himself. He says it's really very, very close to the real thing. We've been working off that, and so there's a lot of illusions that happen as a result of lighting and photographs. So it's been a slow process of getting this tweaked in. Now these parts here, these are just foam core. They're just taped together for now. They go on the legs here. And when I finally got these correct in the right shape, now I'll be able to take this all apart and make another one. And I've also had the bulkheads, which go inside to keep its shape. These are removed so that they can fit on over the legs and be put back. And then the whole thing will be skinned like so with styrene. So that's the process. And then of course, then we're going to fill in with putty between, sand, primer, and that'll give us the parts for the lower legs. Of course, then I have to do the feet. And I managed to get the whole thing standing up now, and he's quite tall. And I just can't wait to get this all together. This is just taking me forever. I had no idea this would be such an undertaking, but we've gotten past most of the hard stuff now. And he's, this being the hardest part. So we're gonna be working on that a whole bunch more, and probably in 2-3 weeks, he'll be finished at long last. And so, as always, I love it when Mary gets creative and does her own art projects here. She gets pulled away from it a lot to run this place and keep the schedules and answer the phones and all that stuff, but Mary's an incredible artist, and she's been working on beautiful things for our home. And we recently had our bathroom remodeled, and she wanted to decorate it with art that she's done. So she's started working using Sculpey, and I'm doing it like this so you can see the detail she's put into this, because it hasn't been painted yet. This is just raw Sculpey that's been baked. And these are going to be attached to these canvases. So you've got the turtle there, which I love. I love them all. The starfish. I can't wait to get these into our home. And the seahorse. And there's little jewels that she's placed in there and then removed to bake, and they'll go back for the eyes. And these are just wonderful. You did such a great job on them. Did you do something else this week too? No, that's it. You do some.
Our podcast.
Oh, the podcast. Well, as always, every week we do a podcast on Tuesday. And we have an amazing variety of different guests. And this week, our guest was Bunny Vreeland. And she's a hypnotherapist, and she's done all kinds of stuff besides that work. And she works with people trying to unblock them from things that affect them in this life that actually crossed over from their past lives, which is amazing. We didn't realize that's what she did, but boy, when she started talking about that stuff, I immediately perked up, because you know me, I'm into the paranormal, and I do absolutely know that we've lived before. If you think I'm crazy, go tell that to George Patton. So here's what we do our podcasts. I love doing them. This was such a great idea of Mary's to start this. We've had so many neat people on. And in fact, is it this Tuesday coming up, we have Rick Sternbach.
Yes, we do.
Rick Stern, the man. Yeah, the guy that's designed so many incredible things, from the speedboat to the Delta Flyer to the Voyager, and so many of the things. And he's a real spaceman. And what I mean by that is, this guy lives, eats, and breathes space like I do. He could be in the middle of watching a game. He'll stop watching it to see a launch. He thinks that's more important. He never misses a SpaceX launch or any kind of launch of any rocket, and he builds them all the time from scratch. He is truly one of my heroes. So be sure to go to Podbean or iTunes and put in SNG Now podcast, and you will find us. And you can also listen to all the backlog of interviews we've done with special guests here. So I really love it. I look forward to it every week. So that just about does it for, in fact, it does do it for SNG News for this week. I want to thank all of you for your incredible support. Everyone on Facebook, YouTube, on Stellar, for all the love and support you've sent. We love you back a whole bunch.